So welcome to the Diplomat with Stephen Taylor. Thank you very much for taking out the time and joining us today. So today, joined by a very young man. Wait, hold on, let me just get a bit of sip of water here quickly. Right. Consul General of the Netherlands, Sebastiaan Messerschmidt.
Correct.
Hello,
nice.
sir.
Well done.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Stephen?
Good, thank you.
Good to be back.
First person to be on my show twice.
Yes.
So I'm honored. Thank you for
I'm
coming
honored.
again.
Yeah, to invite me.
Thank you for being here. Wow, so since the last time we spoke, not much has changed. We're still living in this interesting time that we are living in of COVID. But things have changed. We found a vaccine.
I was going to say yes and no. Not
Yes
much
and
has
no.
changed and a lot has changed.
Yes.
I mean, look, I've got my mask here and
Yeah.
we're socially distanced,
Yes,
so I can safely take it off. But you know, our total lifestyle has changed.
It has.
Which also means that the way we conduct our cooperation together between South Africa and the Netherlands also has changed.
Has
So
it?
really, big time.
In what way would you say?
Well, in the past we would have physical events.
That's right.
We haven't had physical events. We're trying to do things online right now. If companies in the Netherlands are interested to do business in South Africa and they want to check out what the opportunities are, we now get them into we get them into virtual trade missions.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Oh, really?
Online.
Wow.
And we try to match them to South African companies to see whether something beautiful can come out of it online.
Sure.
And these days webinars are all over.
Yes.
So it's also the good thing also about that is that you get a wider scope of people.
That's it.
Just take the State of the Province address by the Premier,
Yeah.
Ellen Windy.
Yeah.
I mean, in the past there was you have the people in the audience,
Yes.
and maybe some people watching television and radio. Now people log in through Zoom, and it's like a way bigger audience. And then of course it's for every single subject that you touch upon, where you would have a physical event. Now suddenly you can do it online, which the downside, you don't get to talk to each other in person,
That's
which is way better than anything else.
Yeah.
But the good side, your scope is way wider. More people can join in, which, there's some advantages.
That is hectic. And I don't know, like this year that we've had, going back to like normality once we've had the vaccine, once things have happened, we're still going to have this fear, right? Do you think that we'll ever go back to being like completely...
What's normality, Stephen?
Yeah.
I don't know what normality is. Normality is going to look different.
Yeah. But I would say that I miss like contact with people, like shaking a hand or giving somebody a hug or embracing somebody. I do kind of miss that in a way, but when we do it in future, we're going to think, ooh, is it okay to do it? I don't know,
Yeah, it's one of those things. Even today, that's still a question, because when you walk down the streets and people meet each other,
I know.
there's still some hugging going on there. And also people introducing themselves and still shaking hands. So, and then everybody's abiding to the rules. That stringently, but yeah, I know. There's differences, and there's new normals, and I think it's important for you, me, and everybody else to see where the opportunities lie.
Yeah.
And see whether we can get also the good sides of it, because there's we all know there's so many bad sides that we are working with to kind of mitigate.
Absolutely.
But there's also opportunities in it.
Yes.
And I think we need to grab them and take full benefit of them.
Something which has obviously changed during this time is that technology has played a very important role.
Yeah.
As you say, digital meetings and speaking to people online, even shows being done online. So maybe it's, in a way, we've kind of fast-tracked that to get to where it is now because we kind of needed to in a way.
And let's see, there's also so many opportunities in this, but then also those opportunities will be different for every country.
Yes.
And one of the things we're planning to do this year, for example, we have a festival that we do every year. It's called CoCreate Design.
Oh, yes.
And what we're looking into now, just like last year, but it will be different this year, is what does the fourth industrial revolution mean to South Africa? And does it mean the same as it does to the Netherlands or to other countries in the world? And if we kind of unpack that, if we know that it means something else, then what does that mean for how we want to cooperate? How we want to do business? How we want to connect our knowledge institutes? So yeah, I'm actually quite excited to go into that space.
So tell us about CoCreate. What is that?
CoCreate SA, CoCreate SANL as we call it, is actually it's a branding that my predecessor Bonnie Horbach, who was on this show also, and I saw her just now. You also interviewed her. Also when she's now in her new posting in Lithuania. She's a very clever woman, and she looked at the way we are conducting our cooperation between the two countries. And as we were moving away from the development cooperation that we used to have, also with development cooperation money that comes behind it, we were more going into a maybe more grown-up adult, like just trade and business and cooperation. The good side of that is you're equal partners. The downside of that is that we don't have that amount of money anymore that sits in the official development assistance.
Yeah.
So we have to be clever about it. So my predecessor, Bonnie Horbach, and also with the teams that were sitting back then, thought, you know what, if we're going to go down this road, then it's not just about trade and investment, but it's really about finding those partnerships, that cooperation, that will find the ways to look at the challenges of today and see where we can create those long-lasting partnerships to how to tackle them. And it becomes a common effort. It becomes a joint effort from which both sides can benefit. And I just, when I came in, I looked at it and said, well, this is a wave I can just ride. And she created it for me, and I'm still riding it today.
It's great what she did.
Yeah,
it really
it's
is.
Awesome. Yeah, it really
That's for the Western Cape, right?
No, we do that in all of South Africa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been adopted for all of South Africa. So we're really looking into where are the opportunities to cooperate.
Wow,
and
so she really did leave a legacy.
We brand named that CoCreate to say now.
Sure.
Yeah, she definitely left a legacy here.
Wow.
So kudos to her. Yeah.
Okay, so when we last spoke, you were doing repatriation flights.
Yes.
You did a lot more since after.
Yes. Well, the South African government decided that for all those people that are stuck in South Africa that wanted to get repatriated, it's the embassies and the consulates that really need to organize a way of doing that, because the air flights were closed, the airports were closed. So if we wanted to make this happen, then it was up to us to make it happen in a good way, and I think we succeeded. KLM was the only air company that was willing to take the risk for a long time to fly every week to Europe.
Wow.
So we organized it. We registered all the passengers. We put them into buses, social distancing, only half full buses. Got their luggage in, and we assembled them all on a parking lot. First in the stadium, which the Western Cape government offered to us to work with, but of course that as it went on and on and on, they said our stadium now has to go into reparation because they had some works to be done. So we then went on to do it on a parking lot.
Sure.
And every weekend we would have 10 to 16 buses, and we would have hundreds and hundreds of people that were eligible for flying to Europe, and not just Dutch people, hey? Americans, French, Italians, Philippines.
No, you were helping all the
others,
yeah,
and also South Africans.
Sure.
The number of South Africans with responsibilities in Europe, I mean, the numbers were just amazing. At a certain point in the end, I think half the airplane was South Africans, going to their families, going to their jobs in Europe.
Sure.
So yeah, it was a very good. Actually, it was a very good operation that we did together with our other consul generals that were pitching in as well. We did it with the Western Cape officials and the city officials that were pitching up, KLM crew that was pitching up, and close cooperation with our embassy, because a lot of things, it was about getting the permits right and getting all the administration right and getting all the passengers list right. So it was really a big team effort.
Yeah.
And we got it done until the 1st of October, when all these requirements were lifted.
Yeah.
And now you could travel again normally. Yeah.
But now that people can travel, I mean, people are still wary of traveling because there's still restrictions around the world of like South Africans. We had the variant. That obviously caused a bit of things of us traveling abroad. So if somebody travels from Cape Town to Netherlands, you can't.
Well, the problem is that there's a big concern in Europe over the different strands of the coronavirus. There is one strand that's predominant in South America. There's a strand that's predominant here in South Africa. I don't like the term South African strain.
Yeah, no.
Because it's not really owned by South Africa.
We don't know where it came from.
We don't even know where it came from.
Yeah.
It just happened to be around a lot more here.
Yes.
But it's actually, I don't know what the exact term is, 501YV2.
I don't know.
But it's actually very unfortunate that it's called the South African strain, because it's not very good for the reputation.
Yeah.
But I see there's a concern, and also the governments are there to protect the people. So there's a concern there, like how can we make sure that the different strains of the coronavirus and different mutations of the coronavirus don't spread in our own country too quickly. So there's a travel ban for now, which is meant to last as short as possible, to make sure that new legislation can come into place, to make it mandatory for people coming from these countries where the strain is more predominant, like in South American countries and also in South Africa, that when they arrive in the Netherlands, they will self-isolate, which up until a while ago was a mandatory things but not really checked.
Yeah.
And there was no legislation around it, but the Dutch government has decided there should be legislation around it to give a little bit more push that people really take it seriously.
Yeah.
And then you can travel again to the Netherlands, I'm sure, but then you will have to self-isolate. And if you don't, you're actually breaking the law,
Sure.
which will, there will be
Yeah,
consequences.
of course.
So we have to wait till that legislation is finished and finalized. And up
Okay.
until then, there's still flights going between South Africa and the Netherlands, mainly traveling with cargo.
Yeah.
And some groups of people are exempt because Dutch citizens, it's more like repatriation,
Yes.
need to be able to go home. Although the advice still stands that they self-isolate. That hasn't changed.
Okay, so the relationship between South Africa and the Netherlands is good. As you said, it's been doing a bit
Solid.
things differently. How has the Netherlands handled COVID-19?
COVID-19, it's a big issue.
Yeah.
I don't envy people that need to govern this country because your challenges here are way greater than in Europe.
Yeah.
Your financial situation is not as healthy as in many of the European countries, so there's just fewer means to cope with this big pandemic. So I don't envy the president. I don't envy the premier of the Western Cape or any premier for that reason, to have to deal with it with smaller means. But in the Netherlands also, the government is looking every time and again to see how can we handle this crisis. There was a pretty stringent lockdown in the Netherlands with bars closed, restaurants closed.
Similar to what we had here.
Yeah, but then again now.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
So, people are getting guidelines of not more than, over Christmas, not more than 2 people were allowed into your households.
Sure.
So, those are big discussions, which, especially I have to say for younger generations is hardest. I mean, if you are in your late teens or beginning 20s, your whole wiring is about social interaction, because it's a period of time where you really have to experiment to grow in that area, and your whole wiring in your brain development's about that. And now, COVID just make you sit at home, so it's harsh. But they make do like everywhere else. Sometimes you have these bursts of protests, which comes from that place, from the frustration, from the not knowing how to deal with it. And people, they sometimes have to get rid of that frustration, and sometimes they do silly things.
Yeah, they can't just sit on social media the whole day. It doesn't always get your message out, so I know.
There's
a lot of fake news as well. I would say, and with regard to Netherlands and a vaccine, have they been working on a vaccine or not really?
There's a lot of effort internationally on a vaccine, and there's also Dutch companies involved. There's a big one in Leiden, for example, that's involved. We're all just trying to make do and trying to purchase the vaccines. In Europe, we try to organize that European.
Oh, through the EU.
Through the EU, and we do the best we can.
So if the vaccine came to you, would you take it?
Yeah, well, it's the thing. First, I don't want to be first in line.
Okay.
Because there's other people that need it far more than I do, and my family does. And also, we want to make sure that those people get inoculated first. Like here in South Africa, I think it's totally sensible that you look at the frontier workers first.
Yes.
The healthcare workers, the people that really take those risks.
Yes.
And you look at the people that have comorbidities, that have other underlying diseases that are way more vulnerable.
Yes.
Then you look at the people that have older age also. So I don't want to be first in line. Let me just wait and patiently wait until all those who are really, really need it. Yeah. And then we'll see.
But you would take it?
Yeah, well, it's going to be required.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm not privately, I'm not a very big fan. But I don't see any other way at the moment. So, but as I say, I mean, it's not my place to be first in line. I don't want to be first in line. Let's just wait and see. And it goes for me and my colleagues as well. We'll just, we're also guests in this country. So as guests, you don't want to be first in line.
No.
It's not your place to be.
Okay, so tell me about your role here as the Consul General. What is your duty? What are you supposed to achieve or what do you want to achieve while you're here?
Yeah. Well, I'm already more than halfway in.
No.
Time is way too fast.
No.
As a diplomat,
it goes quickly. I know.
Man, your country is fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
So it's in so many ways. it's got so many beauties, but also roughness, which actually adds to the experience. I mean,
I think you cover the
really
best parts, but
you
Northern
feel
Cape,
the real life.
Eastern Cape, Western Cape.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, but you feel the real life.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, today's world problems are in your face, but also today's beauties are in your face.
Yeah, that's true.
This area has it all.
yeah.
So I totally get why people fall in love with Cape Town and with South Africa. I think I don't even want to think about the day that I have to leave here.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have to drag me out of this place,
Cape Town,
to be honest.
South Africa has that effect. Cape Town has
Yes.
that effect on people.
Yes.
I mean, I know many people that have come here before and just said, no, I want to stay here.
Yeah,
And it's tough to leave, I know.
yeah.
Um,
So when you talk about my, as a consulate, as an office, but also together with our embassy in Pretoria, the main reason why we're here is to forge as great relations between the countries as we can, to benefit both South Africa and the Netherlands.
so you
We're always
represent
looking
the
at
Netherlands government here.
Yes, I represent the Netherlands government in the Western Cape, the Northern
Yeah.
Cape, and Eastern Cape. And what you want to have happen is that we find each other on challenges and we create solutions together. Hence, CoCreate. And it's not just a phrase. It's
Yeah.
really what we're doing. It's really what we're doing. So we reach out to companies. We want to be part of the creating jobs machine, because that's one thing that this country really needs. Your unemployment figures are staggering,
Yeah.
which is a big challenge.
It is.
So we can be part of the solution by creating jobs, by getting those investments in from Dutch companies. And if we can benefit both, if Dutch companies benefit and South African economy benefits, then it's go for it.
Yes.
But then also we're not blind to how we do this. And that's where things like CoCreate Design I was just talking about. Last year we had CoCreate Design, and the festival itself we did in Langa. Why do we do it in Langa? Because we really want to find those spaces where the way we work, does it really benefit the people that need to benefit?
Yeah.
And we have that conversation. We have that conversation about, because we don't want to get stuck in just a hardcore, we want trade deals,
Yes.
because we don't believe in it.
Yeah.
We don't believe it's sustainable just to go for trade deals, and we also believe it actually is not going to happen, because you want to be part of the solution.
Yes.
So so it's this whole approach that we are taking is really built about how can we find the mutual wins, and so far doing pretty well.
How big is the Dutch business sector in Northern Cape, Eastern Cape, Western Cape?
It's we got a lot of small companies,
Okay.
which I'm very proud of, because that's usually the areas where you get also employment.
Yes.
Startups, scale-ups are very interested. The IT sector very interested, but also in agriculture. The agriculture space, there's much interest from Dutch business, but also Dutch knowledge institutes that cooperate with South African Knowledge Institute to build a center of excellence, for example, in Stellenbosch. That's one of those areas where agriculture are really active in. We like to work in triple helix, meaning we want to connect knowledge institutes like universities and vocational trainings to businesses and to government, because as a triangle you can achieve a lot more. Now, sometimes you involve also civil society, then it becomes a diamond.
Yes.
We'll have jargon, of course, for all these things. Civil servants, we have jargon for everything. But really, that's if you get to the point where you have a triple helix in South Africa and the Netherlands to join forces, it becomes beautiful. You can create a lot of things.
I agree.
And agriculture, we're doing that in Stellenbosch at the moment, but also in other areas, like in the port of Cape Town. We are at the basis of creating a maritime cluster, which brings together all the businesses, not just the Dutch businesses, but all the businesses in the port of Cape Town and Transnet, the port authorities, and ourselves, to talk about, hey, what are the opportunities here, and where are the challenges? Can we maybe facilitate a good dialogue and also create maybe some momentum around getting people interested into jobs in the port space. So we also had an event in which we bring school kids, and we actually bus them in also from areas of disadvantaged areas where you would not normally see kids, and expose them to what's happening in ports, and that could be a career.
Sure.
So this is the kind of work that we're trying to do.
That's awesome.
And we combine them with the Dutch and the other businesses in the port, like Damen Shipyards, VTTI, the SDC. There's like many Dutch companies in the port that are quite active.
But unlike your other consul general counterparts, Netherlands has a lot of history.
Yes.
With South Africa.
Yes.
Good and bad.
Yeah, I'm happy that you touched on that subject.
Jan van Riebeeck.
I know.
Was he Dutch?
Yes, he was Dutch.
Okay.
And
I'm happy. 1652. There we go.
1652. I'm happy that you touched on that subject. Actually, when I came here, I also talked to my predecessor, Bonnie, of course, that was also dealing with the same subject. And also talking to my team as well, like, what do we do with that? Because we like to pride ourselves, and we do, that we were very active in Dutch society and Dutch politics in supporting the anti-apartheid struggle. And we did. I mean, there was a South Africa committee in the Netherlands that was very active and very much, got a lot of support from our society. But also in politics, we were there with the band in sports and culture to make sure that we would support those forces that wanted to have change in South Africa. We like to kind of pride ourselves in that period of time. But also, of course, we carry on us 1652, Jan van Riebeeck, and whatever happened afterwards. And when Jan van Riebeeck landed here and he got the assignment from the East India Company to make a refreshment station for the VOC ships to go to the Dutch Indies, of course, what also was introduced was the people being made to slaves and brought to here by the East India Company. And so I asked my team also, so what do we do with this? What do we do, and what can I do as a Dutch Consul General in the Western Cape? Because especially in the Western Cape, it's an issue that's very much alive. It's very much alive. And I have to be honest that when you go to the Netherlands, the historical sense is not as great as here, because people don't feel it as much today as in the past. Fortunately, though, things are changing in the Netherlands. Not just by Black Lives Matter, which was a push which actually I was very happy with, because it opens people's eyes to, hey, listen, there's something about identity that we need to talk about. And especially also in the Netherlands, we need to talk about. But also before, we have a festival in Amsterdam. It's called Ketikoti. Ketikoti is I think it's Sanangam, which is Suriname language for break the chains. And it's around slavery past, and it's about today's identity in the Netherlands. And we had our Vice Prime Minister having a speech there in 2018, I think it was. And she said, our slavery past, it was wrong, and it's appropriate to feel remorse. That to me is an opening of the debate, which I then said when I arrived, like, I actually now get the approval from highest ends to make the next step. And already my predecessor and also the team back then was already dealing with this issue. But so I said to my team, like, what are we going to do? We can make it bigger now. So we're building we've built a program around the theme transformation and identity.
Oh, nice.
And transformation and identity is all about what's the identity struggles for today? How is it connected to the identity struggles in the Netherlands? Because we have them too, in a different fashion, but we have them too. How can we learn from each other? And there is actually, I think that the Dutch can learn a lot from South Africa, because you debate things way more open. Not that everything's beautiful and all your solutions are great. You can debate all of that, but at least it's on the table. It's on the news. It's in the cafe. I get confronted with it when I walk my dog in a park, and somebody talks to me, and it's a guy, and we share a bit of our history, and we find out that we have some parallel life stories, and then so we go in deep very quickly. And after a while, he says, Sebastiaan, I'm here because of you. What do you mean? Well, he says, look, my predecessors were put in chains by your predecessors and brought here from the Dutch Indies, which is now Indonesia. And as and were made slave. And I'm Cape Malay, so I'm connected to you. And that told me, like, listen, that was 2018. So even in today, present day, he identifies with that history. So and he tells me about it, and it's a real debate, it's a real story. So I was sitting at a dinner, and I think it was one of the best dinners I've had so far. And I was sitting at a table with artists, movie makers, spoken word artists, filmmakers, authors, South African. And so I said, I'm new here. What should I do? And I was sitting across this incredibly intelligent movie maker, Adrian van Wyk. And he looks at me, do you really want to know? I said, yeah, I do. He said, well, you need to do two things, Sebastiaan. First, you need to shut up and listen. So create the space to listen. And second is, don't come to me with your white guilt. I don't want your white guilt, because that kills the conversation. Just create the space and have the uncomfortable conversations. Listen to them. So Wow, it's an assignment, hey?
That's hectic.
It's an assignment, but
Yeah.
I took it upon myself. So we created a program around transformation and identity, and we're having a program between playwrights of the two countries working together. We're building a podcast around identity where a journalist is interviewing all different kinds of South Africans and Dutch about what it means that they are who they are.
Yeah.
And you have different races, different backgrounds, and they will tell generally where they're coming from and why they are the way they are. And that can be comfortable, but also very uncomfortable things to listen to. And we kind of want to open the space. There was this play, I don't know whether you've seen it, Krotoa. Krotoa was a play done by two South African actors, together with two Dutch actors, and a South African director. And it was performed here in Artscape. You should talk to Marlene Leroux.
Okay, yeah, I'll get her on the
amazing.
show. 'Cause our time
You
is
should.
Our time is running out.
Inspiring woman to the max.
I will get her. I will speak
definitely.
to her. I'll get in touch with her. But
And this play was about Krotoa, who was actually recruited by the East India Company, Jan van Riebeeck, to be the liaison between them and the Khoi and the San.
sure.
But then the story was told from her perspective, and her identity being right in the middle between where she came from, where her identity lies, and the East India Company that provides her with a job and security and all that. It's amazingly interesting, and then it's done in East Xhosa, English and Dutch, and then with subtitles projected.
Sure.
So we're trying to that's one of the things that we're trying to do, and maybe when people see this, they're going to go like, okay, where is it now? And we're trying to get that back on stage again.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, and then
When normal
and
is,
maybe facilitate a dialogue around it. And let's have those conversations.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? And then also, of course, there's the thing that South African history didn't start in 1652.
No, it didn't.
So what happened to the history of the Khoi and the San before that?
But I
And
think
how does that have a place in current South African society? That's also an interesting question. So we could go on and on.
No, I
about
know
this,
we can.
Stephen.
We'll have to get you back because time just goes. Me and you can sit here forever talking.
Yeah.
But no, we'll definitely get you back. But thank you for the good work that you are doing, and for having those tough conversations. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. It's hectic.
It's uncomfortable.
But we live and learn, right? That's how we grow and we become better people.
Exactly.
And listening to other people, that is important.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I can learn from you. You can learn from me. We learn from one another. So yeah. Sebastiaan Messerschmidt.
You're telling me this is it?
Yeah.
Man.
I know, it's quick, eh?
It is quick.
Yeah. The Consul General of the Netherlands, thank you, sir. Ons is maatjies, you know?
Wat is dat?
Ons is maatjies.
Ons is maatjies.
Ja.
Ja, baie.
Dat is reg, ja?
Baie is reg, ja.
Maatjies,
Ja,
vrienden.
maatjes. Ja, maatjes.
Ja,
Maatjes. We zijn maatjes.
Ja.
Ons is maatjes.
Ja. Okay.
Yeah, good.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So there we go, another episode of The Diplomat. Make sure you are interacting at Stephen Taylor SA on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you to Sebastiaan Messerschmidt, the Consul General of the Netherlands in South Africa, in Western Cape, Northern Cape, Eastern Cape. Thank you to Corner, thank you to Poppy, and thank you to Wade, and thank you to you. God bless. Take care.